Hi Stampers, it's Eleanor McGarry, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Canada, and today we're going to do a card using both these stamp sets. This is the Let's Sail stamp set. It's a photopolymer stamp set with 9 images. You get an image of water, the birds, and then you got the hull and the mast of the boat. This is a reflection of the boat that you'd stamp underneath here. You get 2 sails, and of course you get your 3 greetings. And then we're also going to use the Gentle Wave stamp set. This is a background stamp, and it's red rubber. All Stampin' Up! Cling stamps made from red rubber are deeply etched. Wonderful image when you stamp these. Second to none quality with these red cling rubber stamps from Stampin' Up! Images are clear and precise. And we're also going to be using the matching sailboat punch that goes with this stamp set. It'll cut 3 pieces. The hull and mast is 1 piece, and then the 2 different sails. And this is the card we're going to be making. It's an angle trifold card. So it has a belly band, and you open it up, and that's what you have inside to write your greeting. Let's get going on this fun card. The size of the cardstock you're going to need is 5.5. That's this side here by 11. And you're going to take your Stampin' trimmer, your paper trimmer, and you're going to measure 3 3/8. So right here, you would find 3 and count 1, 2, 3, just before 3.5. In 3/8, you're going to go ahead and measure precisely at 3 3/8. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to score. So you want the light gray blade, not the black blade. That black blade will cut it. So go ahead and score. Then you're going to do the same on the other side. 3 3/8. 1, 2, 3, and you're going to go ahead and score. So this is our trifold. Let's go ahead and burnish our sides. This is your card here. And so the center part here, that is measures 4 1/4, and these are your gatefold sides, and they do overlap. So now we're going to cut them. And the way to do this, you're going to use your black blade now because we are cutting, so use a black blade. You're going to, right where that score mark is, this is the channel on the trimmer. You're going to lay that score mark right on that channel, and then the point needs to be at 1.5. It just so happens that Stampin' Up's trimmer has this side edge here that is exactly 1.5. But if you have a different trimmer, then you would do it a bit differently and put the score mark on the groove and then measure it 1.5 here, which is right here. So put that at 1.5, and then your score mark will be on the channel. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. So this is 1.5 here, you can see it, and then you just go all the way down, and that's where your score mark, your tip of your cardstock should be, while the score mark in the center there is right on the channel. Let's go ahead and cut. So that's the first cut that you make. And then the next thing you do now is this tip here. You just cut this now, remember. So this tip will go right on the groove, and the edge of the card will go to 1 inch. So right there. So the tip of the card that you just got is in the channel, and the end of the card, the bottom part of the card, is at 1 inch. So now you're going to go ahead and cut that. And you're going to do that, of course, on the other side as well. So let's do that. So the score mark is on the channel, and the tip is at 1.5. And again, the Stampin' Up! Trimmer has this side piece here that is at exactly 1.5. So I love it. So go ahead and cut that, and then this thing that you just cut, the edge will go into the groove and the tip goes at 1 inch, and then you make your next cut. And that is the beginning of your angled trifold. Now we're going to cut some designer paper to go on either side. The paper that I've chosen to use in this project is from the Heart and Home Designer Series collection, and this is the one that I've used here, but there's 6 different designs in this pack, so let me just fan these all out so you can see. So there's going to be 6 that are floral, and this is kind of a nice geometric, which is why I've chosen it for this sailboat card. There's the green leaves, and then there's kind of fresh freesia floral, and these are really pretty as well, cinnamon cider and fresh freesia and pale papaya. And of course, when you turn that over, you have finishes, hardwood finishes, brick. So really generic black and white designs that you could use in many different projects, and masculine cards as well. I love this paper. So I will show you how to cut so that it fits exactly into this here. So when you cut it, you are going to get this piece here. And you know, if it's double-sided, of course, you can decide to use that side or this side. I like the other side better, and you're going to do that twice. But the second time I decided to do it in just plain white. And then I embossed it using the Bark 3D folder, because I thought it kind of looked like water, or the reflection of water. So it tied in really well with the sailboat theme of this card. So I will show you how that's done. You start for both sides a piece of either your designer series paper or your white cardstock, and it's 5 1/4 by 3 1/4, and you're just going to do those exact same cuts that we did with our card. So we're going to go ahead and put the top at the channel there, and the tip of that paper right on the side here, which is 1 1/2. Make sure that you try and be as accurate as possible. When I do this on the paper, I can never seem to get it exactly the way I want it, but you can easily just trim. So now the tip that we just cut goes in the channel, and then the end of the card goes at 1 inch. And then we're going to cut right there. And this should fit in here. And if it's slightly off, I just make adjustments. See how I would like a little bit more of a border here. So I just then take that back into my trimmer and just kind of guesstimate how much I want to show. Cut off just a tiny bit. And then hopefully you're happy with what you've got. And I think that's just perfect. So you're going to do this, of course, twice. Here was your designer series paper, and on the other side, I decided to use the white that I embossed with the Bark 3D. And the next part I'm going to show you is how to do the little belly band with the actual tag and the sailboat. Now we're going to do the belly band, this here that goes around our card to keep it closed. And what I did first is do the actual Night of Navy belly band, and that's just a piece of Night of Navy measuring 1 inch by 9 1/2. And what I did was I took my card. I didn't score anything using my paper trimmer. I just laid the belly band behind the card like that and just figured out myself where I wanted the score marks to be. And the reason for this is your card's going to be different thicknesses depending on what you used for your layers, whether you used an embossed piece of cardstock or just designer series paper, and you want it loose enough that you can easily kind of move it up and down so that you can easily put it on your card to shut it, or pull it off to open up your card. So to me, the best and easiest way of doing that is just taking my band itself, laying it on my card, and figuring out where I want those folds to be, making sure that the actual belly band is loose enough to slide up and down. And that's all it is as far as me creating the belly band, is just going to figure out my fold marks that way, and then I'm just going to glue this here using my liquid glue. As you guys all know, I love liquid glue. It's what I use for all my cards. Let me just grab one that's already opened up here. That was a new one that I didn't want to use yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and add glue to here. Just as much to hold it. I like to add glue on both sides just to ensure a really good seal. And just let that dry. I leave it off to the side to let it dry. And now we're going to work on the little sailboat and tag that we will use to decorate our belly band. This white tag that I used, I already pre-cut here for you guys to show you, and it is part of the Stitch So Sweetly dies. This is what you get, lots of different dies to use, scallop rectangles, and this of course was the largest tag there. Comes in many different sizes. Excellent die set to purchase for tags and for card making and scrapbooking as well. And then I'll show you a trick on how to use this punch and the Stamparatus. So what I did was I just cut out the punch just on plain cardstock. This will be my template. If you're going to make lots of cards, the best thing to do is to do a template. And what I'm going to do is, I apologize for that. I had used this piece of paper earlier for another project, and I thought I'm going to use it again. Let's not waste. So what you're going to do is you are going to put your template down, and these are the images from the stamp set that correspond to the punch. So basically this template is this punch, and I'm just going to try and align the stamps in the openings of that template. You want to make sure that you are putting them exactly in those openings. And then once that's done, you can use that perfectly lined up set of stamps to stamp, and then you can use the punch and it'll be like magic. So I'm just going to put some magnets there so this cardstock doesn't lift up. So I'm just going to pick up those stamps that are perfectly aligned. You got to make sure that you pick it up properly. Am I happy with that placement? Hang on a sec. I don't think that was right where I wanted it to go. So let's just position it properly. That's better. These stamps are pliable like that, so you got to make sure that you are positioning it where you actually want it to go. Okay, so now that's where we want it to be. And we're going to put our cardstock there. And we're going to ink it up. We're going to do it twice. Once in real red and once in crumb cake. And then we'll have enough pieces to make 2 sailboats. One with the real crumb cake mast and red sails, and a second one with real red mast and crumb cake sails. So just opposites. So let's go ahead and ink up our image. And the nice thing about the Stamparatus, as you know, is if you stamp it and your image isn't dark enough, you know, you can always just go over it a second time. I use a whiteboard eraser to apply pressure. And I think I would like a little bit more real red on there. You can tell it's not really thinking that that's as dark as I would want it to be. So just a second time. And that's much better. And now we're going to take that and use our punch to punch it out. We're going to do this twice. I've done it here in Real Red, and we're going to do it a second time in Crumb Cake. But let's punch this out first. So I've stamped it twice now in Real Red and Crumb Cake. These are the colors that I've used. And because we used a template to stamp it, it's going to be really easy to just turn our our punch over and align it to that image and cut out the pieces that we need. You just have to like turn your punch upside down and try and align it as best as you can to that image that you've stamped. So there's one set of pieces, and then we're going to do it again with the second image. As you can see, because we did a template, it's always good to do that with a punch. It's just very easy to punch your pieces out after the fact because you've used a template in your Stamparatus. So we now have all our pieces. And again, as I said earlier, you're going to be able to make 2 sailboats with this. So we're going to put our, we're going to need the sails in red and the hull and mast in red. And the other pieces, these guys will be for another card. So first thing we're going to do is stamp the greeting off to the top here because that's where we want the greeting to go. I've chosen Adventure Awaits. That'll go right here, like that. And then we start by putting the mast on first. So we're going to go ahead and add this right there. Like so. Move it up a little bit. We want there to be enough room for our sail on this side without covering up that greeting. So that's about right. And the way I did the sail was I did use some pop-ups, the little mini dimensionals, and I put the pop-ups right in the center of the sail so that it is raised. The same way a sail would look if the boat's actually on the water and the wind is blowing into the sail. So let's go ahead and just take off. Oh, it's already out. My fingers are working fine today, and I didn't even realize I had already taken out the backing and I was still fighting with that dimensional. So notice how I'm just putting glue on the edges because we don't want glue in the center. We've already got the dimensional there. And we're just going to go ahead and glue that onto our mast, like so. Just position it as best as you can. And see how it's popped up in the center there because there's a dimensional. And we're going to do the exact same thing with the second sail. And again, it's popped up in the center because of the mini dimensional that's on there. So that's what your sailboat's going to look like in the end. And this, of course, is just going to get glued right onto our belly band like so. So let's go ahead and add glue. Yeah, it's better. And that is your finished card. I'm going to try and open it up. It's not quite dry yet, but so basically you're going to slide it down to open. And of course, you can just slide it back on So there's the card. I hope you enjoyed that. I will show you some other cards that I made using the Let's Sail stamp set. I made 3 more cards using the Let's Sail stamp set. So here's the first one I want to show you. And for this card, I use the Gentle Waves stamp set as well for the background. You can see like this is the bottom here. I wanted it to be like sand on the beach. And then I just progressed up with Coastal Cabana and Pool Party. Just inking that up and layering it onto my white card. And this sailboat done the same way as I showed you in the video for the gatefold triangle card, and I used Gorgeous Grape, Coastal Cabana, and of course this birds I just stamped in black, and then used a little bit of our twine there to add some detail. And then I did this using Stampin' Up's watercolor paper. As you can see, it's very muted, and what I did was I took the watercolor paper and I spritzed it liberally with water using our Stampin' Spritzers. Gives you just the right amount of water so your paper isn't soaked. And then I just took my paintbrush and picked up some of the inkers from the stamp pads, and I just kind of liberally touched my watercolor paper, and because it was wet, you could see like the ink kind of spreading out slowly. It was really pretty to watch. So I used a little bit of Night of Navy there. You can tell it's a bit darker, and then Coastal Cabana and Pool Party. And then on top here, I used Daffodil Delight and a little bit of Pumpkin Pie here and there. Very subtle looking. And then I just did a mask using a small circle punch for the sun, and I sponged more ink on that. And for this background here, this is actually Coastal Cabana cardstock, but I took this stamp of the water and I stamped it liberally all over the cardstock. You can see right there. To give it a little bit of textured design. That's it blank with no stamping. And that's it stamped with the water stamp from the same stamp set. And then this card here I got as an idea from another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator named Laura Secchi. Very talented. Thank you, Laura, for the idea. And she turned the mast and one of the sails into a flag at in a golf range. So this is your T, and I use one of our gems from our basic gems, our pearl gems, as a golf ball. And I used the same bark 3D folder to emboss old olive cardstock. I just sponged some ink there, Coastal Cabana and Pool Party, to create some clouds, and I made the cloud stencil or mask using the Basic Borders dies, because there's a cloud die on there, a cloud border. The greeting is from the Handsomely Suited stamp set. So here are the 4 cards I made. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. I did enjoy making these cards. So much fun. If you have a man in your life that has a sailboat, we actually have one, so my husband will love these cards. And or you know someone that's going on a trip out on the water or loves being in the water, these are excellent cards to make for them. Again, I use the Let's Sail stamp set and the matching punch, and I also used the Gentle Waves stamp background stamp as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed and learned something today. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd love it if you did. The subscribe button is in the bottom right hand side. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and leave them in the comment section, as I do read them and answer all of them. If you need any help creating these cards, send me a message as well. Leave me a comment down below and I'll reach out to you. Thanks for watching. Happy stamping.